Years ago, I saw some gorgeous origami butterflies and tried to make my own with little success. I've discovered a die that makes these faux origami butterflies so easy to make, and I'm going to share a dozen or so of them with you in this video. Hello and welcome to Karen's Creative Cards on YouTube. I am Karen Heschik, and I admit I am die cut crazy, and I'm always on the lookout for creative and unique dies. Just look at the butterflies on these first two cards I'm sharing in this video. They're colorful and lovely. They're a perfect shape. And I'm going to show you how easy they are to make. When you pair them with other dies, they make amazing cards. So here's another one that I just love with a new border die. Now all the details on all the cards I'm going to show you will be on my blog, and of course links to that, those blog posts and the products that I share will be in the description box. This is one of my favorites, beautiful blues and yellows there, with a lovely background, and then a happy birthday to you. This is the die that I use to make all of the faux origami butterflies that I share in this video. I did not use wire. The video that I watched used wire, but I didn't have any success with that. So I'm going to show you how I made them. It's two pieces, and this is the main piece. I used another piece for another die for the body and antenna on the butterflies that I make, and again I'm going to show you how I did that. So it's really easy to do. You cut out one of these pieces, and then it's hard to see, but there are scored lines all the way up. So all you're going to do is fold on those lines. Now I had the best success using lightweight pattern paper. I tried some thicker papers and either the scored lines tore or they cracked. So I suggest using just a thin patterned paper. You can use two-sided, but you really don't see the back. So I'll show you that in a minute. So all I did was fold every other one. I'm on the top. Now there's one more fold here on the top that I'll fold down just for shape on the top of the butterfly. And then what I like to do is I hold it in the middle and I just pull down on that paper and then pull up. And you can see the butterfly shape starting. You just pull down and pull up. And then I'm using just a thicker piece of thread. And it doesn't have to be thicker, it's just a little easier to work with if it is. I had this thread in my craft room from some tassels that I made. So it's just a piece of thread, and you're going to take it and tie it in the center of the butterfly. I'll get that centered here. Kind of tight. Put my finger down to hold that first tie. And then tie a knot. So then you maneuver the wings again down a little bit and up. And then I'd like to tie another knot and trim the string off. Now one thing I watched online, the lady made longer strings and then hung the butterflies on something with that, which you could do. Now I you have to cover the middle of that string up with a die. I didn't have success with the one that was in the set, so I found an old memory box antenna and body, and then later I wanted it to be a little thicker. This was a little too fragile, so I pulled out this butterfly die from Concord and Ninth and just trimmed off the body and antenna from that. So that is what that looks like, and I just use a glue dot to attach that. And then I like to add some gems. If you know me, I add gems to many, many things, and these are among my favorites from Gina Marie Designs. So I add one on the body and a couple on the little ends of the butterfly wings here. And that's how easy it was to make an origami, faux origami butterfly for your cards. It's not real thick. I think you'd have to put an extra stamp on it, but I had great fun making dozens of these. If you don't have any pretty pattern paper or want another suggestion of paper that you could use, just look at these colorful butterflies I made out of magazine pictures. Years ago, I remember visiting my mother-in-law, and there were origami butterflies there that the person made out of magazines. So I had only one or two in the house that would work, but I did die cut a couple butterflies out of magazine pictures and made those. And then I made one into a card, and again, you know, that's a magazine picture that I just reused, right? And then the heart on this one is a flower seed paper heart from Of the Earth. And the person who gets this, I'll put this note inside, can take this off and plant it and get some flowers. So a beautiful origami butterfly and flowers on that card. Do you love glitter? Most of us do. I decided to take these a step further, and of course I cut them out of pretty pattern paper, but then I added on this one glitter gel all around the edges, so there's some pretty glitter to that one. And then on this one I tried the Deco Foil Transfer Gel Duo, and I really just applied it with my fingers on the creases and along that, and when it was dry it's tacky, and I dumped on some Nouveau Sparkle dust. So that one has a real pretty glitter to it. You also can make a rainbow foil butterfly. I took Deco Foil's rainbow foil and put it on a toner sheet and ran it through my Mink, and I had a rainbow of colors to cut my butterfly out of. It did crack a little, so I just took some ink and just sponged the ink on the cracks, and you can barely tell that it did crack. But I love this beautiful butterfly card, again made with an origami butterfly. I was thinking that it would be a shame to throw away a card that had a beautiful origami butterfly on it, and maybe they wouldn't, maybe they'd keep it forever. But I thought one way that could brighten up someone's home would be to make a butterfly card and then put it on with a magnet so they can take it off and they can put it on the refrigerator or someplace to brighten up their home. So this is a vintage wishing you well card, and then a butterfly that I used the Concord and Ninth die, the whole die on top of that one, and I thought that would be beautiful on someone's fridge. Here are the magnets that I use. There's a link to them in my description box, but it's magnetic discs, the smaller ones from Basic Gray. This is the background that I made with Nouveau shimmer powders and tissue, and I put a link to that description in that video on how I did that in my description box. But this is another Thinking of You card, and then the person can pull this off and put on their fridge or some other place to brighten the home. So I thought that was kind of a neat idea. Here are my last two butterfly cards that I made. This one's a pretty blue with a hello die. That background is the distress stencil technique that I learned about recently from a Jennifer McGuire video. So both of these have distress stenciled backgrounds and the beautiful origami butterflies. And I'm going to show you how I made this card with that technique and then finish the card with you. So I have a Vagabond, yes, I have the Vagabond and the Vagabond 2. And so I'm going to show you this sandwich that I experimented with and learned how to use to make this technique. So first thing that you do is take a piece of thick cardstock, and you can go direct to paper, but you're going to apply a thick coat of a distress ink. I have chosen the picked raspberry for the main color in here. And then I decided I wanted a second color, so I'm going to take some Dusty Concord and a Distress Tool, and I'm going to add some of the purple around the edges. Just kind of blend that in. So this is my Vagabond platform, and I'm going to show you the sandwich. I can't show it going through the machine because it just isn't going to fit here. But you're going to take, if you have this machine, you take your adapter plate off, put down a glass plate, and then a rubber embossing mat. Now my Vagabond did not come with an embossing mat or this black embossing plate, but I had this from another Sizzix machine, and it's the same company, of course, so I tried it and it did work. So we have the platform, a glass plate, a rubber embossing mat, and then we're going to put our inked paper on here, and then you're going to choose a stencil. I Clear Snap, this says. It's an older one, but I just thought it kind of looked like a path of a butterfly, so I chose that one. Now I like to tape this down. You maybe don't have to, but certainly, now Jennifer said she went back and forth several times. I found I didn't need to do that, but I had one that kind of moved, so I just taped that down. And then you're going to take a baby wipe and put it over that. And the baby wipe obviously is very moist, and that's what's going to make this work. And then you're going to put your black, in this case it's black, embossing plate on top. And now I'm going to run this through my Vagabond back and forth. It does squeeze out some of the liquid when you do that. So I keep a paper towel handy to just clean that up. And then we can take off our piece. It's still very wet, of course, but you have embossed, and then the pattern turns a little white and gets raised in a slightly different color. So it's a really interesting technique and background. Now I'm going to dry this with my heat gun and come back and finish the card with you. So our background is complete and is on the card. Again, I just think that's a really neat technique that Jennifer shared. The subtle colors and the embossing in slightly lighter colors. So that is the background on our card. I'm using my favorite glue from Barely Art to attach a double layered thank you. This is a die from Burniston, and I like to do the offsetting in a darker color, and that makes it stand out. Our butterfly that we made together before, I'm using a glue dot on the body and also on the lower wings to attach it. And I can send a cheerful, colorful thank you butterfly card the next time I need a thank you. I had so much fun making lots of lovely faux origami butterflies, and hope these examples encourage you to try some of your own. Thanks for watching, sharing, subscribing, and thanks too for helping me share the joy of creativity.